Welcome one and all right back to the North America Challengers League presented by Subway. I'm Mizell. I'm joined by Beatdown Boulevard, and I could not be more excited to kick off this very long day for us in a very exciting way here, heading into a very important time for our league.
Right, because Lennon, we're at this point in the split where we're past that halfway mark. This is a single round robin, so there are some teams who are pretty safe, almost guaranteed lock for playoffs, and there are other teams who are very much in danger of dropping to that bottom two and being forced to go to the promotion relegation tournament later on after playoffs.
It's going to be insane. Are you also excited to switch up casters in between? You get a little flavor of me, a little flavor of Destiny.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's a little baton pass going through, and I'm just running my marathon towards the end of the day. Yeah, it'll be a good time.
I like it. I do want to go ahead and bring up the good time that is our league, though. Our standings here to talk about the big dogs on the block, it feels like. FlyQuest Challengers in Maryville sitting top of the standings. Also, FlyQuest have a little bit of fun today over on their stream, having a little show match to show off while LCS is not playing. So it should be interesting to check out. But I think when you look at the general standings, a lot of things that maybe you wouldn't expect beat down.
100%. I think Maryville were a surprise to pretty much all of us, even though we all had a pretty high opinion of UG Spyrax. We still had question marks about that bot lane, but they managed to turn things up. And when I talked about teams being almost locked in for playoffs, I mean, I was talking about FlyQuest and Maryville because these two teams are at the tippity top of the standings. And though I don't think it's impossible for them to get to bottom two, it would take quite a lot of work from everyone else to make that happen.
Obviously, I think defending champs DSG with a retooled roster at least want to find some saving graces here as we move forward. But that means we do have to move forward to our schedule of the day because we have 3 best of 3s on the chopping block. Woo! And me and Beatdown will be covering our first 2, AOE versus Lit and DSG versus Fear.
And already, this is going to give us a bit more of an idea on how much danger some of these teams are in. AOE, DSG are 2 teams who are, we saw it previously, DSG currently 1-3, AOE are 1-2, this being their 4th match that they're playing today. And it is a pretty tough spot. The schedules don't get easier for those 2 teams, and they're ones who I'm looking at to hopefully get some pretty serious wins, alongside Wildcard, of course, who are also 6th place at 2-3.
And I'm actually really excited to be a fan and watch the Wildcard versus Review matchup. It's going to be a lot of fun. I might have my Maryville sweater on. I don't know. Hey, I'm not on broadcast. I could be biased. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, so we're going to go ahead and talk about our first matchup here. It's AOE versus Lit. But let's go ahead and take a look at the Lit roster. And we will be looking really particularly at Kisno in the jungle and trying to find out how good this guy really is.
He's a player who started last spring. His first time I saw him was on Supernova, and I mean, there really wasn't much to talk about at the time, but since then, he's really grown into a pretty impressive player. His coach, Taki, speaks very highly of him, how quickly he's learned, the growth he's shown, and in his words, he's the best jungler in this league. Maybe that's a little coach bias, but I don't think it's totally coming from nowhere. I do think this player is very good.
Yeah, Rockboom has my personal favorite because he went ham on Jin a couple weeks ago. But anyways, let's talk about AOE here. Some rising stars, it felt like, but some standout players in their own rights. I know Wixie has been garnering a lot of attention in CLOL recently as well, but Onat, always one to speak, a big member of this AOE roster.
Yeah, always love hearing from Onat, and I gotta say he's looking fresh in that picture that we got there from him. I really like the fit. But overall, he's a player I probably look at on this roster, considering what we've seen last summer, the early weeks of this split. I think Rose Thorn, he's a player who historically we've seen a lot more from, and I'm hoping he can get back to that kind of level that we expect from him. But it's really this mid-jungle that I generally watch on this team. And Wixie and Breezy, players who we've seen do well in the past as well, hoping that they can also kind of bring that back.
Yeah, I know Rosethorn for me last year, he was one of the biggest brain pathing junglers I feel like we had in the league. The way that he took advantage of the level 1 through 3 was really important. So as we head into draft, I want to see if he's going to get priority or if Onat will be back on the mage play here. But as we get into it, it is AOE on the blue side, Lit on the red side. And especially with the way the meta is kind of playing out, I want to see how many of these bans are actually going to go towards bot lane too.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that at the beginning of the split, things were pretty reminiscent of summer last year, and I think to some degree they still kind of are, but now the release of Smolder, a couple patch changes coming through, we've seen things mixed up a little bit. I mean, for example, the Kindred ban. That's a Kisno special. He had a monster game on it a couple weeks ago, and that's just something a lot of teams are not willing to give to him. And respect.
You don't want to give it over, right? Yeah, I think that we have a lot of junglers in the league that do have those like 1 or 2 bans. Like, all right, well, if you give it to him, we'll see what happens. The Maokai also there, so a little bit of flexibility there we have seen in the support role, but primarily a lot of control through the jungle. The Orianna, the Ashe bans over on Lit's side.
Yeah, we know Onat to be a big mage player. The Orianna, the Victor, the Ahri, all things we've seen him have really good performances on. And I kind of want to look forward a little bit and see what that first pick is going to be for AOE. I mean, we've seen Smolder as a very strong champion now, especially flex between that mid to bot role. I think that kind of scaling pick fits into Onat's wheelhouse. Wixie also played it last week, and I'm kind of leaning towards that end, especially with other powerful options taken out.
I do like the Varus focus towards Rockboom, though, giving away a little bit of utility in the bot lane, too. I wonder if Onat does just get the prio focus here from Lit, especially just trying to take away some of those comfort picks. I feel like we have seen in the past has put AoE in some rough positions. The Senna is actually the final ban.
All right, and now it's going to be that moment of truth, Lennon. What's that first pick coming out to be? I'm probably thinking Smolder, especially given their willingness to play it, but there are still a lot of powerful options available.
I'm always here for the Smolder.
Yeah, it's fun champion. I thought you were going to say Jhin. I'm not going to lie.
No, I mean, if Rockboom picks it, I actually don't mind it that much into the Smolder. It does hurt late game because you definitely don't scale as hard as a literal dragon. But we do get the Smolder, and I couldn't be more excited. It's my first cast of the Smolder, and I love this champion. We'll see what happens for Lit's side of the map, though.
Yeah, it's actually my first cast as well, Lennon, so I'm very glad to share that with you.
Are you ready to hear me sneeze a bunch?
Yes, and I'm ready to bless you every single time. Don't you worry.
God, that's going to get real.
Yeah, I know. It's okay. So now the Tristana coming through from Lit, I think, is a pretty interesting answer. The thing with Smolder is that it isn't, even though some people want to say, like, free scaling, 20, 25 minutes, you win the game, you do have to scrap a little bit for it. You have to really earn those stacks to get to that 225 threshold. So something I'm seeing teams do that I like are picking these lane-dominant picks that kind of slow down that stacking a little bit. I think Tristana would be a good example. I've seen Draven as a response in the bottom lane in other leagues as well, and I'm wondering if Lit will go that kind of route.
We get the Seraphine locked in, so some sustainability at least, and hey, you at least get to prolong a lot of things with this pick, and you still have that carry combo of the Tristana too.
Yeah, it's interesting because that Seraphine support I'm not really a big fan of, so I kind of think this is already telling me that we aren't going to see another marksman come through from Lit, but this is another way to kind of match that scaling aspect, because mid to late game Seraphine is very powerful. The wave clear is good. The healing shielding is pretty good, so I think AoE are going to need to up the damage on their side if they're going to want to be able to cut through this.
And I like the options from Lit to scale, right? Like, Rockboom's going to be able to be really safe down there if it is going to go to the ADC position, especially being able to still have a lot of play around mid lane. We said that for Kisno. We want to see how he plays. Well, it's got to be around this mid lane now, I feel like, to make sure that the Tristana is set ahead if it does go mid lane. We get the Sejuani and the Rakan. A lot of engage and a lot of safety for that little dragon.
Yeah, already very clear indicators of a front to back. You want to play 5v5 team fighting, and I think that's perfectly fine for the side of AoE. And now I'm curious as to what they're going to ban when things get out of the picture. No, are we blinding? Okay,
Let's
wow.
Go.
All right, fair enough.
Dragoon says Dragoon smash.
This is something that's usually taken away second rotation, so I like the confidence from Dragoon to be able to pull this one out early. I think it's already fine into Sedge. You may have a tough time staying on Smolder, but considering the move speed items you built, you're going to take Ghost. I think he'll be able to manage that one just fine. So now I want to see if Zabuto's going to have some kind of spicy response or some way to match him.
Well, they do take away one of those spicy responses that he was thinking about. It is the Akshan gone away. Zabuto, not one to shy away from cooking in the kitchen is all I'm saying. I want to see what he can do against this, especially with that blind Darius matchup. I do like the Nautilus ban away here.
That's good.
Just trying to give some of that engage potential toned down a little bit.
100%. And I want to add as well, I like removing some ranged options from Zabuto, because when you pick Sejuani, usually it's the top laner who goes at that melee pick, so you can really get some value out of that permafrost. So if you remove some of those options that Zamudo might be hoping for, I really, all that's going to be left is a melee option that he may not end up being happy with. The only thing I could really see being an answer is like Bundle or something. I don't know if I've seen Zamudo play that.
The Warwick?
I have no idea how that would go. That would be interesting.
He said that he would never do it again after.
Really?
So, I mean, hey, you can never hold him to it.
Maybe he lied to bait us.
The Jack, yeah. The Jax ban I really do like. I feel like side lane pressure is super important in this game for them, and taking away that matchup is incredibly good. The Wukong also ban away, something we haven't seen as much, but Kisno definitely one to cook it up as well. Some engage potential absolutely needed from Lit here.
100%. That's why I'm kind of expecting we're going to see like the Leona actually was something I wanted to highlight. I hope this one goes through. I mean, your ult is a little harder to land, but you are much tankier in Nautilus, and it ends up suiting Lit's purposes just as well. This team really does need more engage. You need someone to go in so that the Seraphine Encore can pass through them and extend its range. And you just need someone to set up these team fights for you and lock people down. So I really like that one. You're pretty much leaving the jungle for Kisno up in the air, and I'm wondering what he's going to look for as a result now.
I'm curious because it could go two ways, right? You could go for a more engage and find some stability for the comp, which I feel like is the safe answer, or you go Kisno wants to pop off and get something engage, or more fighty. We do get the Rumble for Zamudo though, something he's been really willing to go to.
And I think that one ends up is a pretty solid answer, something he plays consistently, as you said, Lennon. And it's pretty solid because you do have a lot of damage. I did say they needed more on the side of AOE, so I think that one ends up being fine. And the Yone coming through there, I think they're expecting, I think it's going to end up laning fine into either Seraphine or the Tristana, depending on what goes where. And I think that ends up being a pretty fine answer. And okay, the last pick.
Yuumi jungle, Yuumi jungle, Yuumi jungle.
No.
I saw it, and it's a meme. It's a meme.
I'm just gonna wait and see.
I do wonder though, because we have seen a very heavy reliance for Kisno to have skirmishing. So I was gonna say something along the Bruiser line. The Xin Zhao 1 through 3, very good. Once you can get those early paths and into Rosethorn, that's the matchup that we really wanted to highlight, because if Kisno gets ahead there, I feel like a lot of the control of the map goes away.
Yeah, probably. And I'm just waiting to see how these lane assignments end up shaping out. I'm guessing it's going to be the Seraphine Leona bot lane combo, but it could very well end up being the Tristana. And I kind of actually like that one better because, as I was saying earlier,
Messages is the Seraphine.
That's true. But I also like the idea of picking a lane, a dominant AD carry into the Smolder, so that you can make it harder for him to want to fight you, make the trades to build stacks more costly in hopes that you can slow down the snacking and generate a lead of your own. So yeah, I kind of like what Lit ended up cooking as a result here. I think AOE definitely have a lot of answers on their side. They have the melee solo laners with the Sejuani, which is really strong, and they have a lot of ways to play out these team fights as well.
Yeah, they do. And coming into this one, Messages was definitely the Seraphine player, but I always find it interesting to try to maybe mess with people's heads as you go throughout the split and see if Rock Boom goes ahead and plays it, so you get that flexibility in draft. But we get a tried and true composition from Lit, setting themselves up for success. And right now, who you got in this one is all Lit favored.
Wow, I have a feeling it's much like last year. You know, we just got here. Maybe the votes just started coming in, and we'll see if things change up a little bit. Okay, see, there you go. I think it was one vote, and now we got two. So yeah, who do you think is going to win? Damn that in the chat. And now I'm interested to see who's going to path where in these early minutes of the game. I mean, we talk about both these junglers. Rosethorn being someone who we really appreciated his early game. The one struggle being that he needs prio to be able to make these things happen. He needs leads to be able to make these things happen, and he isn't really able to do so from behind, and that's something we were hoping to see him improve on this year. Kisno, a very much improved player compared to quite literally a year ago. Now a player that, I mean, has had some great looks in Champs too. You have a couple players from LCS, Jan and Core, big fans of him, love playing with him, and it's really cool to see that interaction and, of course, that respect.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of flown through the ranks, it feels like, so far. He still has those good supernova memories, at least. But I do find it particularly interesting. Well, I guess we're going to get the full-on level 1. Get all
what
those
you think is
stacks,
interesting
baby.
doesn't matter.
Mudo, you got to be careful. He's got an axe, and he'll make you bleed.
Oh, he's going to make him bleed out. That's crazy. I mean,
that's
the
so
fact
unfortunate.
And this is an Ignite Rumble as well. No teleport in sight. This is already off to a catastrophic start for AOE.
My goodness. Well, Dragoon does indeed smash. He blind picked the Darius. He's feeling real confident now as well. I think Dragoon has been an interesting conversation for me because he's very confident in his own skills. And I think we've seen him tag into a couple things online that have been really funny to see.
I got to say, I agree. And I actually talked to him earlier this morning to specifically ask him about his game into Fear, where he played Mordekaiser into Philip's Fiora, and I asked him what made the difference, because you look at solo queue, you look at just historical data, it is a Fiora favored matchup, and he said, I'm not going to lie, I just knew Philip hadn't played the champ very much, and I egoed and tried to take advantage of timers where board is favored, and then he ended up getting a pretty huge lead for it. And I think that between that and so many other things we've seen from this player really speaks to his confidence, his flexibility when you consider the champ pool he has, and just his skill overall.
I do agree. We actually get a little movement from Plux early with a deep ward onto Krugs. I like that kind of movement, especially with this lane, because if you get an overextension, you go in, you get killed, right? So you want to make sure you can play pretty safe. Rosethorn will end up getting top scuttle, but the gank goes off on Zamudo, and this man is going to find himself an 0-2 scoreline to start off under 4 minutes into the game.
Top's over, man. Rosethorn,
it's so
I don't know.
Over, bro.
Yeah, I don't want to see Rosethorn go there for the rest of the game. I just want to see what else he's going to be able to do elsewhere. It's tough because Seraphine, Message just plays this correctly. It's a very safe lane. Bot lane is honestly still a pretty good matchup there for Rockboom and Plux. I will say that's a good trade from Wixie and Breezy. But the options that Rosethorn have are very limited. This is kind of playing into that weakness we've already established in the early minutes of this game. And especially with him playing Sejuani, he's got a lot on his shoulders to try and get AoE back into this one.
Ooh, almost got stopped there by Kisno. But yeah, if the jungle goes badly, that's where we knew things definitely take a turn for the worse. Here, I think Rosethorn has done a decent job of taking advantage of Kisno's early decisions, right? He's able to get the double scuttle, get a little bit of a CS lead. And so seeing that consistently continue throughout the game is what we need to keep an eye on, because if you cannot keep track of Kisno and continually get something back, it's going to be a really difficult time.
And now, they have an inkling that Kisno is on this bottom side of the map. You can see Breezy and Wixie, they got that ward in the dot brush. Top side,
again.
I'm sorry, Dragoon.
Just don't show it up here. Oh, he's got the turnaround.
Oh, wow.
Zamudo with a shutdown solo bolo. We're just trading blows.
They are. That's a great way for Zamudo to get himself back into this one. And you pick up the shutdown, you get a pretty solid wave crash, and pretty much those first couple of minutes don't end up mattering too much. I really want to credit Zamudo for getting that flash off that he did, predicting Dragoon would also try to flash to land the Q and get that heal. This is well played.
And taking advantage of that timing, Rosethorn again taking something across the map. The dragon this time goes over to AoE.
That's pretty good, because I actually had expected Lit would be able to get that early Dragon prio with the Tristana Leona bot lane, but because this is a timer that Rockboom and Plux wanted to go for a recall, either way, like you can even tell Kisno already being on this top side trying to grab these grubs tells me that Dragon isn't something that they're actually interested in.
Gonna do the classic jungler scheme, take one grub so you can deny the 6 and see what happens if you invade. I guess that's the Kisno playbook. Messages and Plux are roaming over here. Do you see Rosethorn maybe taking the bait? Breezy's here. This is a pretty big fight brewing under the top tower. Kisno gets engaged on, but there's that encore, and it doesn't matter because it is an all-lit early game here.
Hold on, Onat is here. Never mind, I think we're just going to walk away from this one. That was such a huge play coming through from Lit. It was a good read from AOE. They knew this was happening. Rosethorn and Breezy came up, but Lit playing messages in the fog, setting up that encore at the last minute was the difference maker. They had an extra man, and it was a level 6 Seraphine. Made all the difference.
We have a lot of players that require a Seraphine ban in this league, and I think AOE is going to be regretting the fact they didn't do it. Rock Boom goes in as soon as Breezy rejoins the fight. Can he make it out of here? It doesn't look like so. Wixie gets the kill.
Wow. Oh, actually, it's not done.
Oh, Dragoon. He's getting burned. He gets the heal from the Q, and that's Kisno setting up the kill.
Wow, and it's this topside focus there from Kisno. Ends up getting another kill. It is a response, so Lit are able to at least go 1-for-1 across the entire map. But that's just unlucky timing from Rockboo. I mean, he goes for the all-in, wants to see if he can get aggressive, but he waited too long, I suppose, because Breezy had plenty of time to recall after, or not even recall, he died after that play, and just walked himself back to lane, meaning that this was just never going to work.
Yeah, you know, as soon as he sees Breezy, he's like, oh, well. And this play is very intense. Luckily, the heal comes through if you're a Lit fan for Dragoon, and they're able to get the kill.
Also, I think Zamudo honestly wins that. If Kisno hadn't shown up in this Rumble, when you're overheat, you do that % health damage with your autos, you're really strong. But that jungle attention is kind of meaning, or rather, calling back to what you said in Champ Select, Lennon, that side lane pressure. If Dragoon is really far ahead, he's going to be really hard to deal with one-on-one, maybe even one-on-two. And that's something that Lit are looking to leverage in that mid to late game.
Yeah, because you look at AOE's team fight, and it's ridiculous, right? You start layering some of those things on top of each other, and you got a red carpet for the best celebrities right there. I think the Lit focus on topside, the hyper focus, I feel like, is important because Dragoon has been a solid piece, and especially on a Darius, we've seen it run rampant, right? But I do want to start seeing some focus towards Wixie because he's going to be scary.
He will be. And the fact is, he's not going the build that we usually see from Smolder. He's going for the Essence Reaver, it looks like. So what really matters there is the stack count. I haven't seen it yet, but the fact that he's keeping even, maybe even a small lead, especially with that kill he's picked up, does bode really well for this Smolder, who, you know, is a little slow going. You usually expect those the stack threshold to come at around 20 to 22 minutes. The fact that he is going aggressive, making plays, looks really good.
This is a great combo from AOE, but they're going to have messages now in the fight too. Rosethorn all by himself because the soul becomes unbound, and now he's in trouble. He tries to get Kisno here. They get the kill in the end. Messages will turn it back around, and Onak gets grabbed into the abyss that is Dragoon. Zamudo is here to back them off, though, and the equalizer's coming down. Here comes Breezy, and they get Dragoon. He's going to heal a lot, but it doesn't matter. Breezy picks up the kill.
That's a great roam from Breezy to help just secure this play for AOE. They force Kisno out of his jungle after taking him down. They take down Dragoon as well, and they just get a huge influx of gold as a response. There was a lead there for Lit, but it's now been cut down to basically nothing.
Honestly, Flux and Breezy having such big influences in this game so far as well. Just the mobility out of bot lane. Speaking of mobility, though, mid lane, Odat in a little bit of trouble against messages there. Looks like we'll get a little bit of calmness on the rip, but the dragon is spawning, and Lit are in position.
Yeah, and with Wixie going for this recall right now, he's just going to go ahead and be fine with giving up this Drake over to Lit, but it's looking like maybe they aren't even going to do it. Okay, they just wanted to get that way, but they're going to do it. They're going to do it.
It's going to take a little bit of time. They'll be able to get the roam up. Easy does it. They will tie up the dragons here at least, so delaying some of that stacking for AOE. But that is the conversation I want to bring up, and the thing that we kind of highlighted so much so far is the compositional stuff that's happening, and AOE are fine with the game prolonging because the team fights, I feel like, are so scary there.
I agree with you, and I think that's why it's pretty huge for them to have been able to get that first Drake. When you're playing a comp where you are favorable in the late game when it comes to scaling, and getting the first Drake so you can delay the soul is perfectly fine.
Rock Boom can't buffer, actually doesn't use the rocket jump. They do get about half his health. Kisno is here as well, so AoE will back off.
Cost Rock Boom the ghost. Kisno's on a ward.
Kisno realizes Breezy doesn't really have much more to get out of there. It does scare him a little bit at least. Ooh, over the wall. The combo comes alive again. Messages does get a nice encore to delay it, but the soul becomes unbound, and an easy pickup mid lane. Onat gets a shutdown after all.
Yeah, and Onat's been able to find a good bit there in this game, and he's going to be, I mean, him paired with that Sejuani is such a strong combo, and hold on.
Ooh, misses the Zenith Blade there. Here comes the damage. And Rock Boom dies to Breezy. We'll see, actually. Wixie chase this down a little bit, just trying to get as many stacks as possible.
And wow, you can see Wixie and Breezy there just running this bot lane. Rock Boom falling so far behind, and you can see it kind of fell apart after that attempted all-in he went for earlier, giving away his first death over to Wixie. So bot lane is in a really difficult spot. It is in a really difficult spot because now Rock Boom is a good bit behind, and this strong mid to late game pick in the Smolder is ahead.
Yeah, it's going to be really difficult to approach fights, I feel like. I think the way that you do it is you try to counter what AOE you're doing. I think the combo of Rosethorn and Onat has been so incredibly strong. They've been on the same page so far this game. Trying to find a way to counter that's important. That's the highlight that we really wanted from Lit, was this mid-jungle duo working together.
Right now,
I think Zamudo has taken the bait. He's going to flash.
Well, that's going to be pretty much the only thing that comes from that. Maybe they will revisit that in the next couple of minutes. But this is pretty much all Lit have going for them right now. It's just the fact that you have this Darius, who's in a pretty strong position. Playing for bot lane is going to be really hard now. And,
Ooh, well, I guess they know he doesn't have a flash, so he's just going to equalize the wave there and take the L as the guillotine comes down over Zamudo.
Yeah, this is basically, if Lit are going to win, so much of this has to be through Dragoon with all the resources he's been given this game and the amount of gold that's in his pockets right now. But one good deed deserves another. AOE, no, that bot lane looks like a juicy play. They're just going to settle with the drop.
Rosethorn does have Glacial Prison. Gonna be able to get out of this one. The death wall there, ready to go. As I like to call the wall in front of the Dragon Pit, because oh my god, the amount of times I see people die there. It is the double invade takeaway though by Rosethorn, and AOE using their bot lane pressure and mid lane pressure very well.
Right, and you can see it now. That first item has come through for Onat. He is strong. Wixie has that Essence Reaver as well. He is definitely comfortable. Both of them are definitely comfortable, looking to scrap, looking to fight. And now my eyes are just going to be on what objective is coming up next. You can see how much pressure they have bot side. You can see all the wards they have in the bot side jungle in the river. And it means that now, when this next Drake comes up, AOE are going to be in a fine position to start stacking Drakes for themselves.
And AOE are feeling real confident with the amount of vision they have towards the bottom side of the map as well. Protect this little dragon and maybe start stacking those bigger dragons as well. But I think an important factor to note here is the importance of every series that we have for the rest of the split here. Not only is it a single round robin, every match you only have once, but it's important for both these teams to get to a positive record beatdown.
That's right. Again, both these teams are on the lower half of the... Lit currently at 5th place, so, you know, top half the standings just barely. But when we look at their schedule, it was a little bit easier facing teams strictly who are below them. So the hope for them is that they're able to continue this growth. And Zamudo,
they're going to grow straight over to Dragoon. He can't get the death as well. He's going to have multiple stacks raining out. And everyone from AOE has just lost a ton of blood.
That ended up working out really nice for Lit. You do get yourself the Herald. You are going to get a turret and all the gold you have for Dragoon. But look at how close Dragoon was to dying. It was a pretty close call for him. And it's going to get harder when you're throwing people like Onat, like Wixie, and all the damage they have at him as well. So it's still going to have to be Lit playing out these fights really well if Dragoon is going to be able to, well, smash.
You're starting to see some of the strengths of the singular pieces of Lit, though. AOE are the ones that started up the Rift Herald, and Zamudo goes in for this fight, pulling the rest of the team. It just doesn't work out because he's so strong.
Yeah, he ends up getting the Noxian Guillotine off So he's able to instantly get full stacks of his passive as well. It's just so much damage coming out for free after that. And again, Onat and Wixie aren't there. It's going to be really difficult to kill Dragoon. And because they got this Herald, okay, I thought he was going to go mid, but bot is better.
We're running. Scion Speedway. Kisno, you deserve the driver's license. Let's go. Let's go.
Oh, he's
Let's
so
go.
Clean. He's so clean.
He just wanted the engage there on Onat. I love it. Looking at some plays, and there's another shutdown to Dragoon.
Dude, Dragoon is Mr. Worldwide this game. He's getting kills all over the map. We were just looking at the play he did topside. Now he's going to get another turret's worth of gold shared with Kisno. And he's just at 6-2. Like, he's the main character.
Apparently, and Kisno thinks so as well. I love the committal to make the play over there and just go full map. Again, they have all the outer towers now for Lit, and it provides them so much relief of pressure, I feel like, when you're looking to contest these next objectives, because you're going to have to find good positions. You might be in a gold lead now. You have 2 dragons stacking for AOE and a lot going right for their scaling.
So my eyes are mostly on how Lit is going to play the map at this point in time. Because Dragoon, you want him in a side lane, you want him pushing far in hopes that either AoE overcommits or you can shadow him and try to make a play. Speaking of plays.
Breezy's getting locked down here. He is the Rakan, swift and fluid, as Lit can't lock him down just yet. We do get full focus. All 5 members up here from Lit.
And that one is interesting to me. I think it was just so that they could clear some vision and walk into the jungle, but it's looking like it's that latter option I mentioned where they want to shadow Dragoon in hopes that if a play is made onto him, they can assist and just leverage the gold lead that they have. So it looks like they're fine to all in and fight as long as he's there and kind of bet it all on him.
Yeah, honestly. I think they're looking to go to the Dragoon shop. I don't know if you want that, all right? I think Dragoon's pretty scary now. You might need one more friend to make sure that that one's a little bit more even.
Maybe 2. Maybe 2.
Maybe 3.
There is a 2. Yeah, look at him. He's at 2 items. Got a cloth armor. He's going towards item number 3. Like, this one is tough. And now Lit are in a position where they've pretty much turned the vision game in their favor on this bottom side. Now Dragoon has this pop wave pushed in. The question now is, I'm looking at the minimap just to see if he's going to stay, try to punish Zamudo if he tries to get anywhere near that top tier 1 turret. And yeah, it's looking like that is what he wants to do.
It's been really cool to just see him, I feel like, grow a lot more confident. This split, I feel like we have seen a lot of confident play from Zamudo in the past, especially recent past, but it feels like he's definitely leaning into his persona, and especially on the Rift, right? The picks and especially the play we've seen from him has been really good, and Lit's looking to stay aggressive everywhere on the map, as Breezy says hello to Kisno.
Just a quick, like, hey, how are you? How you doing? And of course his jungler is always nearby, so Breezy is in an okay position. Now, I like the cautiousness from messages as well. Sees Breezy is nearby. Before Rosestorm goes on that ward, he's like, oh, you know, maybe the jungler is nearby as well. So that cautiousness is good, allows Lit to maintain control of vision over this bottom side, and it means with this dragon in a minute time, and Dragoon really starting to lay on that pressure topside, it looks like, with this wave he's trying to stack. Lit could do some Drake stacking of their own, depending on how AoE want to respond.
Like we're getting a preemptive drag setup. We got about a minute out. AoE definitely want to contest of that. Actually, back going to come through from Rosethorn to make sure to maybe get another. Oh, he can't get back though.
Oh,
and now he's okay. Looks like they're just going to give it then.
Yeah, it's looking like they're going to back up. Dragoon just immediately pushes that wave and walks over. Because he's always going to get that first move, it puts Zamudo in a difficult position. He also doesn't have teleport, and he really isn't going to get pressure against Dragoon in the 1v1 at this point. So it just means that Dragon fights and Dragon setup later on is going to be pretty hard. I'm foreseeing that if AoE do want to continue stacking Drakes and actually fight for this objective, they're going to have to sacrifice a little bit in terms of minion waves, depending on where Dragoon is pushing them out.
we got the engage up here, though, and Rose found himself on the wrong side of the tracks, and Kisno answers in kind.
And Kisno and Plux, they've been all over the map this game. The fact that they have been covering plays made on Dragoon, they're covering plays made on messages. They are recognizing these moments that AOE might be looking for, and they're nearby. And it's just making it harder for AOE to actually get their foothold in this game. I mean, if we can take a look at Wixie to see where he's at on the stack counter. He's reached the second item, so he is in a pretty decently strong position. I think we're really still waiting for that second threshold coming through. He's currently at 186. Again, guys, the magic number, it is 225. But with how strong Dragoon is, I don't know how well that is actually going to work for him. Because, Lennon, that's what these fights are all about.
Yeah.
Can Dragoon reset? Yes? Cool. Let win the fight. Can you blow up Dragoon before he can start snowballing team fights? Then you're fine.
And we've seen the Smolder, even at the max tax, lose games easily, right? It's about setting it up for success and trying to find a way to play around it. And I think that's what we talked about in the draft so long ago is like, AOE have good peel, have good setup for the Smolder. But it's the execution that you really need to come alive here, and especially with Dragoon being so strong. He is priority number one to keep away from the little tiny dragon. We do actually see maybe a play developing from AOE. They are on a ward, though, so they will be spotted out, and Lit will be able to at least belay pressure from topside.
All right, and it's AOE trying to prioritize taking down this top tier 1 in hopes that, you know, they can push that top wave in a little bit further. And that it'll allow them a little bit of an easier time to try and set up for this Baron. Dragoon, actually all of Lit were spotted on this ward. I wonder if Onat is in trouble, though. Oh, Onat's in trouble.
Yeah, he is. He's in a lot of trouble here. He gets all the ultis used on him, and he will go down. Another pick, and honestly, who needs a team fight if you can just keep picking people off?
They just make it look so easy. That kill means it's an easy Baron for the side of Lit. You still have some pretty good teamfight tools. AOE, they don't want to let this one go easily.
They're going to go in, but they have seen Plux now. He's on the flank. Encore goes wide. Plux walks through. Here comes Mom, but just to delay Lit engage. They'll turn back onto the Baron here in AOE, trying to re-engage. Breezy, he's looking for it. The Baron goes down as now the Equalizer comes across, but it is not going to do anything there. And Lit steaming forward with a Baron buff.
And that's just more gold in the back of their pockets that they're going to be able to spend to continue snowballing this game. A great pick, once again, onto Onat. It cost his ult, it cost the splash, and it still didn't end up mattering. At this point, he's teleporting just to see what little bit he can actually get. I got a surprise for you, Lennon. It is actually nothing, because Messages is going to immediately match it.
And the lead in topside really leaning to the strengths of Lit, being able to utilize that to keep pressure around the rest of the map. I think it's really enabled Kisno, of all people, to have an incredible early piece to this game. He's had so much pressure. He's been everywhere on the map. And this is the guy, it feels like, for Lit coming into this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And then overall, too, I think Lit as a team, looking at this roster, I personally was pretty excited about them. I thought a lot of these players had potential. And even speaking to Taki about it, their coach, again, he mentioned how, you know, the first couple of matches for them were pretty tough. He was worried about the improvement and whether or not they were actually going to be able to, you know, reach that trajectory they were hoping for. But he says he ended up being pleasantly surprised at the end at the growth of his team. Says he spoke about Kisno being able to absorb information really well. He says that's also partially true about the rest of his team. Every one of these players, they listen, they learn, and it has gotten them pretty much to where they are now. Yeah, it's 2-2, but their game against Cincinnati Fear was really close, and I think overall a good showing from them. And I think what we're seeing in Game 1 today as well continues to speak to that growth.
I also love it because we're getting newer faces that are making names for themselves in the ACL, and you know, the next stop is the LCS, so trying to make as many moments happen for yourself here is as big as possible. I think these guys have definitely done so far, at least those hard-fought games, and now a triumphant lead over AOE in this game number 1. Although Dragoon, we might have spoken a little bit too long about Lit, but he's still going to look to fight back because he is ridiculously terrifying. Zamudo, he's going to try to catch out Flux, but here he comes on to Dragoon.
Oh,
he's
wow.
going to get the shutdown there, and it's a big one over to Zamudo, and it's another one coming down. Wixie gets the kill there, and I do believe he has hit the stacks.
That is a great catch out from Breezy, and you are right. Wixie has reached that stack threshold. He is getting that % health burn now coming through, and it's just basically, growing until infinity. So this is a good threshold for AOE, especially with Wixie approaching item 3, but this is a tough spot.
They are all here. Kisno, you might have overextended your hand a little bit. He's going to get that Crescent Guard out, so no.
Oh, well, don't worry, Lennon. I got you. Now, that play to me was an attempt to try and cheese something so that you can maybe have a shot at taking this Drake. But at the end of the day, your top and support were caught out. That catch out from Breezy has gotten AOE their Ocean Soul point. So with that going on, is that now they have a pretty clear win condition. If they're able to secure that soul in a couple of minutes' time, this could be their way back into this one. That extra bit of healing could make the difference in these team fights. Because I will say, yeah, they caught out Dragoon, but it was basically 1v5 twice because Flux wasn't able to do very much to help him. Dragoon wasn't able to do very much in general. So that's all well and good. But you need to do that in a 5v5 when you have messages, kids, no rock throwing stuff at you.
And that's where like the whole conversation of what team compositions on paper looked good when and where does become a little bit more murky when you look at the way the game is played out, and especially now if you do get this catch out again onto an AoE member in the side lane, it becomes that much more difficult. Solar Flare going to be flashed out of by Zamudo.
Really nice catch out, and I mean Zamudo loses his flash with a bit of greedy pathing.
Oh, here comes Mom. Not going to do much. There's the equalizer there, though, as well, just to clear the wave. Try to stop Lit from being able to take this tier 2 tower.
Yeah, and the question is going to be, are Lit just going to stay? And it's looking like they are, because Zamudo lost a good amount of his health. And guys, surely we're not going to full 5v5 team fight for a bottom tier 2.
Yes. Yes.
I think it's happening.
I don't think AoE want that smoke.
Okay, I think that's correct, because that's not a fight that would go well for them, even with their tower there. And everyone's, they're just looking at Lit menacingly. And so far, they haven't had a real way to stop the bleeding. Yes, that pick off earlier allowed them to get a soul point. They're going to have to recreate those conditions somehow going into this to actually pick up their soul. Which, stack threshold or not, I don't know if AoE are going to be able to actually make it happen.
Yeah, they're pretty far down now. I mean, they do have dragon stacking going for themselves. I feel like an Ocean Soul would be actually really big for their competition moving forward as well. And I feel like right now they're just gunning to try to get to a state where if you flip an Elder, you flip a Baron, you can win the game, right? And they don't have a lot of options there because they haven't taken a lot of structures, but maybe if they get a catch out here, it's big. There's Mom coming through. They already catch out Breezy, but here comes the damage profile, and there's the first execution as a flash from Wixie big, as now AoE are looking to burn down Lit, but Dragoon is cooking him as he's going in for the guillotine. He gets cooked himself, and Wixie is on fire, literally, as Onak goes in. Big time play from him. He can't get Kisno, though, and AoE are starting to fight back. Equalizer snipes him down, and Rock Boom is out.
So much gold picked up, and a Baron means even more going for the side of AoE. That was a great fight for themselves. Dragoon, he was a little slow, and at the end of the day, this time around now, I guess Wixie, he's here now. He has that Lord Dominic's regard. He's got that % health damage coming through now that he's reached the stacks, and he was able to do so much in this team fight with the space Breezy and Rosethorn were giving him.
And now they have the Rally Cry Baron buff to boot, able to get pressure out on the map. And this composition is starting to look a little scary as you move forward because Dragon is coming up very shortly. We got to take a look at this one.
Look at the minimap. This fight started. Look where Seraphine is. Look where Darius is. There's no messages. There is no Dragoon before things start to go off. Yes, Rock Boom gets the first kill, but so much damage was being laid into Plux, into Rock Boom, into everybody without your Darius, who is the most fed member of your team. So this is just a great fight start here from AOE, recognizing they had a window to make this happen, and this is how you recreate those conditions to get yourself that Dragon Soul. They have Baron, they gained they narrowed that gold lead, and now they can get control of the map.
I love Zamuta's awareness, knowing there's a shutdown on a low health target. Let's just use it. You'll have the ult for the next fight. Now back onto the map. Baron up 35 seconds till Dragon comes up. AOE looking to get some pressure before that.
Well, wave clear is still quite good on the side of Lit. You can see Lit are posturing. They don't have the first move, but they are looking to 5v5 again. Lit still have a gold lead, mind you, and now this is going to be a straight-up 5v5.
Oh,
wow.
Rosethorn
Nice.
whiffs the Glacial Prison. That's a little bit of an issue. As now Encore comes through, they're going to catch Breezy, but they go through with Mom, and now here comes some of that execution damage. Wixie is untouched and unkillable here. Rock Boom's trying his darndest, but it can't do anything. A double kill comes through for the Grown Dragon as the fires of AOE burn Lit from the inside. As messages, the final bastion will be burnt down as a flash comes through. Siege engaged, AOE to the Dragon.
And they're going to get the soul on top of it. And there it is, guys. AOE, it's going to be so hard for them to lose a fight for the remainder of this game. Onat doing a great job making sure that Rock Boom's damage is all on him. The amount of space he's able to create on top of Rosethorn and Breezy as well for Wixie to just 1v9 this game is really impressive in these team fights. And it's a big part of why we talked about this comp working in that mid to late game. And now that they have the Dragon Soul, now that we're here in this mid to late game, this is about all said and done.
And I think it's just a consistent factor that Wixie keeps shutting up the doubters. My God, the amount of times I've had to see this man defend himself on Twitter and the amount of times I've seen him step up in key moments has been incredible. It feels like this is the Wixie revenge arc this year, even into last year it felt like. But on AOE, back with Breezy once again, the tried and true duo. It's feeling like home once again for AOE.
And AOE definitely feeling, like they're in a great position right now. They were down pretty much this entire game, but now they have a gold lead, 1.5k for the first time, and that's just going to keep growing, Len, and these fights only get easier from here. Now, the way they're going to make this one happen is a pick. Kind of like what they were doing in the first 15-20 minutes of the game, where you catch someone out by themselves, you try and get a numbers advantage in your favor, because straight up 5v5, it's not going to work anymore.
I just don't think you can do that when AOE are completely grouped all the time. Now you got to see, though, as it is a 3v4 setting up. But look at the burn damage. Here comes Mom and the equalizer.
Wow.
You put yourself into a barrel and called yourself fish lit, and a shotgun was waiting on the other end. AOE clear the house, and another fight goes their way.
And they have a mid-wave. They're going to go ahead and just stop the backs if they can from the side of Lit. And they're going to just knock down this mid-inhibitor. And they are really wasting their time, too, as well. It's just going to be so easy. They can actually look to maybe get some damage on to these Nexus turrets as well in this next wave. We still got 30 seconds on messages.
AOE's composition has hit their threshold. They've turned a 5.5k lead into a 3k advantage, and now they're looking to end the game. There is a grown adult dragon right there, and Wixie gets a triple kill to top it off. 11-0 for the Wonder Star ADC of AOE.
And a great comeback win from AOE Esports as well. Dragoon pretty much had all the tools to really shut this game down. He got so much attention from Kizno on the top side of the map, but ultimately it got to a point where this comp's lack of backline access really started to hurt them, because it was pretty easy for Onat to get on them, but who's getting on Wixie?
Yeah, and we're going to take a look back at that pivotal fight. It felt like the big turnaround from AOE, and especially the positioning of all of AOE, that blocking you were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, watch Rock Boom. Even though he dodges the Glacial Prison, Rosethorn, it was a whiff, it happens. Watch what Rock Boom, most of the damage of this comp, is doing. He's flashing away. They are not hitting the same target on the side of AOE. Rock Boom is just trying to protect himself from Onat, who he can't even finish off. By the time he finally gets some breathing room, the rest of his team are in shambles.
Yeah, and Wixie untouched, able to use the range there as well. Very, very well. Seeing how Smolder is working apart and picking apart as the game goes on is really interesting. And there was a lot of time where we thought Lit had complete control. Again, a 5.5k lead dwindled down to nothing. That'll hurt for sure. But AOE going to feel real confident off that. We'll see if they can take that confidence into game number 2. We'll step away for a short break. We'll be back.
They said it couldn't be done. They said the world would never accept a cookie this long. Or a churro, and probably not a pretzel either. They also said, under no circumstances should those really long and delicious treats be wildly affordable. To which we said, but we already made them. And they are. Introducing the incredible new foot-long sidekicks. Get one at Subway today.
I think TLC will win. We'll have no issues at all.
Probably FlyQuest. I hold a lot of respect for a lot of their players, so probably the favorite to win.
Can I say myself? Yeah, I think FlyQuest is the favorite to win the split.
Area of Effect Gaming. I think they're individually just so cracked that it doesn't matter who they're up against.
Well, that will be my team, because it's my team. I mean, who roots against themselves, you know? Us or FlyQuest, because I think we're the best 2 teams.
I'd say it's probably FlyQuest, I mean, or ourselves. I mean, I can't ever count myself out.
Yumi?
Yumi?
I don't know. I mean, honestly, I'll just say Yumi.
That champ just, is useless, and then whenever the champ is useful, the game kind of sucks, you know?
The community will have my back on that one. So yeah, just Yumi.
Well, this is embarrassing.
I think it's Zoe. She's just the mid lane champ that wins jungle matchups, and I also don't even really want it on my team, so I just say Zoe.
Zed. I hate Zed. They just farm with Q from far, and then they think they're good when they press R. I think if you're a Zed OTP and you can play Zed and you have the basic combos down, it shoots you up a whole tier at least.
I think I'll choose Zeri, kind of like the peak of Zeri Yumi meta, and Zeri Lulu meta was kind of the bait of every top laner.
I want to dunk on Shochi. Yes. He's a good friend of mine, and he's a good laner, and I want to dunk on him.
All of them. All of them, but in particular, every support player that exists, hands down. Just pick one.
Quad. So badly. So badly, actually. This guy has 87 LCK games. He just dropped 2 nukes in his most recent game. So if I can drop a nuke on that guy, then it's going to look good for me.
Messages on Lit. Give him a little reality check.
I'll just choose Dragoon. I mean, we're the 2 Darius players in ACL, and there's only space for one, I guess. I'll just say that.
I just want to beat AOE because I think I'm friends with a lot of them, and it would just feel good, yeah.